I've got a very interesting interview for you right now. We're actually joined by Vasek Pospisil. He's a professional Canadian tennis player, and he's going to talk to us a little bit today about how he uses technology to be one of the sort of top Canadian athletes that we have. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Yeah.
So this is exciting because obviously we're a technology show, not a sports show, but nevertheless, we start to see how technology really does cross into all areas of life. But with sports specifically, technology is used significantly to help give athletes an additional edge. Can you talk to that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's actually quite a bit of this, technology movement in sports. I guess. Well, I mean, I can speak for tennis specifically. Me currently, I mean, I have a smartwatch that I use, which is maybe not as much as the advanced technology that's out there. We can get into that in a second, but I do have a smartwatch, which it's more for myself, just to kind of monitor my heart rate when I'm playing. I do play with it, practice with it. I don't play matches with it, but and you kind of get can get pretty good data. I'm using the Huawei, the the GT2 series, and so I just kind of gives me a ton of features to kind of see how my body is feeling at the time based on my heart rate and resting heart rate, and but then there's actually a ton of other stuff that I've been doing as well that we can get into.
When I think about again, your profession is your body, your mind, your health. Do you you must record everything? Like you must track like what you eat and sort of how much sleep you get and all these sorts of things.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, the sleep pattern, for example. I mean, that's actually one of the things that I use with the watch. That kind of tracks my sleep patterns, and not so much with the nutrition, which is actually funny because that's one of the things obviously there are options out there, but I haven't really been tracking necessarily my calorie intake or not, because I just feel like it's so much about how you feel, like what your body tells you. It's like, okay, like I feel like I'm quite in tune with my body over the years, especially as you get older. You kind of get more experienced with how your body's feeling and what the signs are of, so it's tough to put everything, there's still a human aspect to it, but
sure, yeah.
But there's there's a lot of just in general, like technology right now is going into tennis. There's match analytics and statistics, which I use, which I actually if I'm playing an opponent, there's tons of information. These days it's not cheap. You actually have to pay somebody to kind of dive deep and analyze patterns or what your opponent might like to do. So he'll go and he'll look at the last 3-4 matches that they played, and and then in the training, that's in competition. In the training, there are obviously a ton of different things that my fitness trainer will use when we're training.
And do you find that the data or those technologies actually change? Like you actually you listen to that and you actually see the difference in the match per se?
I do actually. Well, in the match, it's funny because it's a balance, right? It's a balance between, because obviously, people are smarter than technology. Well, that's a bold statement, but
sure,
but when you're on the court, for example, and things are changing, right? So it's like you can go in with an idea, you can go in with a general tactic. And you might know, let's say if I'm playing tennis, I'll say, okay, my opponent, his favorite serve under pressure is let's say serve out wide to the backhand or whatever it might be. And so there'll be statistics and analytics on that kind of information. But then once you're on the court, and let's say you cover that serve a little bit, suddenly he'll adapt. He'll recognize that what his favorite serve is, and he'll recognize that he's lost maybe a lot of the big points in the first set because you're covering that serve. So then suddenly that'll change. So there's always, so it's good
adaptation.
You're always adapting. So it's good to have this in the back of your mind, but it's never, you need to know that, that necessarily won't be the reality once you're on the court. So it's just the more information you have, the better. Information overload also isn't very good because you can kind of get into, I mean, right now you can have statistics on, it's crazy what you can do, but you still need to have just a couple pieces that you think are kind of vital.
You ever played a robot yet?
I have not, but I'm sure it's coming soon. I'm sure there'll be a robot in like 10 years or no, like 20, 30 years who's like kicking our asses.
Right on. Well, let's talk a little bit about watches, because obviously I was excited to sit down and chat with you today because we both wear the same watch from Huawei, the GT. You have the GT2. You're one up on me here. We gotta talk to someone about that. But anyway, no, it's cool, and it's interesting because a lot of people that I meet say, "Well, AJ, why the Huawei? Like everyone else has the Apple watch, right? I mean, it's the most common one." And they're like, "Is it better?" You know, because everyone wants the edge, right? And I'm like, "It's not better. It's different." You know? And for me,
looks better, I think.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's funny. We're on the same side of that.
No, I would agree. It looks like a real watch.
It looks like a real watch.
Yeah. But you also have a ridiculous amount of battery life too.
Also, there are a ton of great features. I mean, I actually never had the Apple Watch, but I don't really see why I would after using the Huawei.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Well, and I think, and John, you could probably talk to this a little bit, but when Huawei came into the market, they really did sort of focus. Well, first, I mean, around the design, it is beautiful. Actually, if you see that mine is on right now, so that's actually my rest screen. So that's actually, it never goes off. I always have the time.
Okay, so
and they can do that digitally. It'll still, I don't have to charge it for a couple of weeks and I get that screen. And then it's not until I wake it up that it changes to my digital one.
Yeah.
But sorry, I was going to say, you know, besides the design aspect, and I agree, I'm with you. I think it's a beautiful watch. I mean, they've put together a beautiful watch. They focused on health. Yeah. And they really sort of took that aspect as something that they wanted to sort of focus around. And so it's obviously got the built-in heart rate monitor. Yeah. And you were saying that you like to check your heart rate often.
I do. I mean, well, even on court, because I wear it, right? So I wear it on the course when I'm playing. It's almost like I just like to know. I mean, I like to know what my heart rate is. I can just kind of see, and I can kind of gauge whether I'm getting better or improving. You know, I might, just based on, you know, if I'm training and if we do a really long rally and I'm like, oh, well, like, you know, I'm getting fitter or whatever, and it also can see my average heart rate of the day. And then I think especially like one of the big things that I use with it, which is, you know, I'm also kind of peculiar that way. I like to know like my steps, and I like to know like how much did I really do today? Like, so I can gauge, you know, okay, I felt like I worked hard. Did I really work hard? It's like, okay, I did. And then some days it's like, oh, I didn't really do enough today, or didn't move enough, you know? So it's funny. I like to look at that. Like, I'm always like, how many, you know, what did I do today? What are my steps? So it's great that it tracks all that. And
I found it funny last night, just as an example. I have a 5-year-old daughter, and I brought her upstairs to her room, and sort of as I was halfway up the stairs, my watch buzzed me and said, "Hey, you hit your 1,000 steps today."
Yeah, isn't that the best feeling?
It's like, the best I feel some gratification to that.
Yeah, it's like 10,000 steps today. I was like,
and
yes.
I play sort of old timers pickup hockey. Love the game of hockey. Do you play hockey at all?
I never got the chance. No. I mean, I was so tennis focused.
Yeah,
and I played a
course.
bit of soccer and then a bit of road hockey, but never got into it.
Yeah. So I got my 1,000 steps before I even played hockey. But you know, like yourself, when I wear it. You know, you don't usually need to wear a watch when you play hockey, but I like to sort of sit on the bench after a shift and just see how high I got the heart rate.
Yeah. I do. Yeah, I do the same thing all the time. I'm always like, oh, I need to get higher. Like, how high? Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's funny.
You mentioned that you don't wear your watch though during a match.
During a match, I don't. Yeah.
Is there a reason for that, or is it just to get rid of the distractions?
I have a wristband when I play in matches. When I practice, I don't put a wristband on my left wrist. Right. So maybe it's to have the watch on. But the other thing is, I don't know. It's just like I just want my hand to be a little bit lighter.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of you know, it probably doesn't make that big of a difference in terms of in terms of like the weight, but I just want it to be a little bit, you know.
Right.
If it's
I was just curious. It'd be interesting to know if your stats go through the roof versus when you're practicing during an actual match when you're in the heat of the adrenaline and all that stuff.
Yeah, or you could even cause some PR like Odell Jr. did with the wearing the watch onto the NFL field.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. I don't know. There aren't too many. I think there are a couple guys that wear watches when they play.
But it's not a rule that you can't.
It's not a rule that you can't. You can, but there aren't many. But I mean, I feel like. Yeah, why not?
Might be some interesting statistics
for sure.
to see that, you know, if you haven't ever worn them before, if you're still at your same practice level,
maybe
or
I'm like hyperventilating, I don't even know it. I'm like,
So is there anything more that you'd like to see out of wearing technology while you're playing while you're practicing and you're sort of preparing for the game?
I mean, I think one of the things I find kind of cool, useful, it's already out there. I mean, I've already used it as you put on this kind of this vest and it tracks how quickly you're moving. I mean, I feel like it's good because for me specifically, I feel like I'm performing my best when I'm pretty explosive on the court, right? So I think you can kind of gauge if you're a little bit, maybe a fraction or a step slower than you were when you were playing well, and you can kind of, okay, maybe I need to work more speed, or so. I think if there's a lot of information, a lot of things you can take out of that. But I do use that sometimes. I mean, I know that in tennis now they're kind of talking about bringing data onto the tennis court for fans when they're watching on TV, so you can actually. I don't know if they're going to do this, but I know they've been discussing it where, the fans can actually see on TV what their heart rate is.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So you can it's more like interactive with the viewer.
Yeah. Because right now we have the speed of the ball.
Yeah, exactly. But in like real time, right?
Yeah,
even if you had the speed of the ball in real time, that'd be kind of cool, right? Because
yeah,
they always
that would
tell
be
you
cool.
the speed of the ball, like, okay, you serve, but I'm sure there's a lot of, and they'll show you, how much ground a player has covered through, in the first set
that's
or
interesting.
the match, or so you can see who's running more, who's spending more energy, and then
or how much force that you're putting on your racket, even too.
Yeah, totally. So I think that I'm sure that's maybe not. I think it's coming soon for sure. It must be, but you have to. I'm sure there are some issues because you need to be plugged up. You need to they need to put something on you, right? So I'm not sure what the rules are with that.
So how long have you been a professional player for?
I turned professional when I was 17.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I actually had the choice of, the decision to make whether I go to college on a scholarship or turn pro. And it was at that age that I decided to turn pro, because once you turn pro, you can't really go to college on a scholarship anymore after. So it's a big decision, right? Because if you turn pro and you're not successful, then you have to, you're kind of stuck. But so yeah, I turned pro when I was 17, and yeah, so far so good.
Very good. Yeah, and so what's next for you? What's your next match or tournament?
Yeah, next for me, I'm actually heading to Florida to train. Having a little bit of a later start to the training block because of Davis Cup, which we played a few weeks ago, which was very late into the year.
Which you did amazing in.
Yeah, which was an amazing, amazing week for the team and for Canada and tennis in Canada. And so next for me is, I guess the next big event would be the Aussie Open on the 20th of January.
Very good. Yeah. Well, we look forward to following you in your career and keeping an eye on the technology that you're engaging. And maybe as you start to embrace more technologies, come back and chat with us.
Absolutely. Would love to. Yeah.